Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am super excited to share my first batch of Christmas cards with you using the beautiful Poinsettia Petals bundle from the Stampin' Up! August-December mini catalog. Now, this bundle is part of a larger suite, so it gets lots of real estate in the catalog, but I'm going to show you just the bundle for today. There are a whole bunch of coordinating products, which I'll talk about in a minute, but the bundle that we are using is found on page 16. It includes a beautiful, huge stamp set and then a very large set of dies as well. Now, the bundle is priced here in Canada at $77.25. And then you can also get coordinating products, including some gorgeous DSP, which happens to be going on sale on October 1st. This beautiful plush vellum DSP, some beautiful pearl accents, and gorgeous ribbon. So the Poinsettia Place suite is just stunning. And as I said, it includes the stamp set and these dies. Now I need to talk about the dies for a minute. So included in the die set are dies that cut the stamped image outline. Okay, they cut this outline. But then there are also dies that are included designed to nest inside of those outline dies to add texture to just a plain die cut. Okay, we're going to see those today. Same thing happens with the holly leaves. We have others dies that are designed to cut stamped images, and then some more dies that just cut shapes. Now, I should mention I am missing one of my flower center dies. It's actually stuck inside my Big Shot. I was using my Big Shot, not my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Silly me, I shouldn't have been using my old machine. And it actually got stuck it fell in between the roller and the platform. So I'm going to have to get my husband to take it apart to get my die out. Anyway, that's my tale of woe for today. But we are going to work on these 3 cards today. So just as we're getting started here, I'm going to pull my video up so that I can see who is watching. It's always more fun when I know that I'm not talking to myself. Let's see who is here. Oh, hi Sue and Louise and Laura and Kathy. Hello ladies, I hope you're having a good week. Now later on in this video, after we're done making these cards, I am going to launch my new online class because I love this bundle so much. I just couldn't stop creating with it. So I designed a whole bunch of really fun cards for an online class, which we'll talk about towards the end. But for now, we're gonna get going on these. So we're gonna start with this one, which I posted earlier today. And it is your classic traditional red and green Christmas card. There's something to be said for traditional, beautiful, elegant holiday cards. And this is definitely one of them. So my color scheme in this one is Poppy Parade and Garden Green. I really like that combination. Garden Green is a little bit of a sort of dusky color, and the Poppy Parade is really bright, and they just offset against each other so well. So we're going to do our background panel first. So I have a piece of Poppy Parade cardstock that is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I'm actually going to stamp on that with real red ink. Okay, I tried using Poppy Parade and I wanted a little bit more contrast. So we're using just a shade darker in the real red. And I have the poinsettia stamp from the stamp set. I'll just show you which one that is. It's hard to see when it's photopolymer. It's this one here. It's the full poinsettia. So we're going to just add a little bit of interest to our background by stamping that image a few times. And then we're going to emboss. So we're just going to add a few of those images. I'm just taking care not to overlap the images because I don't want them to kind of get all tangled up with each other. I'll add just a little hint of one up here. Okay, super quick and easy. And then we're going to add just a hint of texture to this using the subtle embossing folder. Now I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and I need to say something about this folder. I've had a few people message me saying they can't get some of their folders through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And that's, my first question is, are you using an old Sizzix folder or one of our new folders? So our old folder, you can't hardly see it, I've used this folder so much, but this is the remains of a Sizzix logo on my folder here. If you have a subtle embossing folder that has the Sizzix logo on it, that is one of the old dynamic textured impressions embossing folders that Stampin' Up! Used to carry when they were affiliated with Sizzix. This same folder is available in the new design, the 3D embossing folder design. Is a slightly thinner. So when you are using the old Sizzix folder, this particular sandwich is not listed on your platform for your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So I'm just going to tell you, you're going to put your cardstock in, and then you are going to use this gray plate. So I'm putting my embossing folder directly on my platform. There's no cutting plate underneath. And then I'm going to put the gray plate, which is number 4, on top and roll it through. Or not. I lied. It's not number 4. See, even I get mixed up. I'm using number 3, 1 cutting plate. Number 4 is for our new folders. Silly me. So we're just going to use a regular cutting plate number 3. Okay, and that will roll through just fine. And then you're going to get that beautiful subtle texture on there. Okay, so again, if you have a Sizzix folder, you only want to use cutting plate number 3. This one, number 4, is for our new 3D folders. Okay, just to make sure we're all using the correct folder. All right, let's get that out of the way and finish putting our card together. So there's our background. Now we're going to add some layers because layers are beautiful. So I have here a piece of the Poinsettia Place DSP. This is cut to 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then I have some of the brushed gold metallic cardstock. Now this is also 5 1/4. This was cut to 2 1/2, no, 2 1/4, 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then I cut the edges, top and bottom, using the ornate border dies. And I'm just going to pop out these last few little bits here that didn't come out when I used my die brush. We'll just get rid of those. And there we go. Oh, a couple more just down here. If you don't have this take your pick tool for poking those bits, you need to get one, let me tell you. All right, so this is going to layer right on top of there just like that. And you're going to see that beautiful detail from the die peeking through. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of tape to the back of my DSP, and we're going to pop that on just centered on our gold foil, just like that. Okay, and then that is going to get layered on our stamped background. Whoopsie. Get that going again. Come here. There we go. All right, so that is going to get layered, and I did it pretty much in the middle, so right about there. Okay. Oh, yours is broken, Louise. Oh no! It's always sad when the spines break on embossing folders. I am happy to say that I have not yet had one break. The trick to keeping your embossing folders from cracking, from coming apart, is making sure that the fold goes through first. Okay. All right. So then I have a piece of garden green cardstock. It is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And I'm going to layer that behind my stamped panel. So I have just that narrow little border peeking out. So we'll add that. Hi, Julie. How are you doing? Hope you had a good day. We're going to layer that on there just like that. All right, so then we're going to set that aside and we're going to do a little bit of coloring. Now I have already gone ahead and stamped and started coloring my poinsettia and my 2 little sprigs here. But just in the interest of you not having to watch me color, because it takes a while. Excuse me. So my color scheme is really simple. Sorry, I just need a quick sip of water. Got a catch in my throat. All right, there we go. I'm using my Poppy Parade combo and the dark mango melody. Okay, so the dark mango is for my little sprig. So I'm just gonna add a quick little bit of color to these guys. I didn't worry about shading them because they're so teeny tiny. There's not a whole lot of room for shading, and the stamp actually has a little bit of shading on it. So there is that. And then I also used it for the center of my poinsettia. Okay, now to color the petals, I started with my light, and those of you who have watched my videos before know that when I am using my Stampin' Blends, my preferred medium to stamp and color on is just our Whisper White cardstock. It is beautiful cardstock for coloring with the blends, for using the alcohol markers. And I always lay down a layer of the light shade first. And that is to give me, it actually sort of moistens the cardstock a little bit and makes it easier to blend the colors. I find if I start with my dark and then try to add the light to blend, I don't get the dark to move quite as well. So I put down my layer of light, and then I'm going to come back in with the dark, and I'm going to darken down sort of the petals right near the center. Okay, so this center area here, and then I'm also going to just darken the veins a little bit. And then anywhere I see a little bit of shadow on the stamp image, I will add just a little bit of dark. Okay, then I'm going to come back and blend that out again with the light. And again, I normally blend with my bullet tip. It allows you to really kind of dig in and move that color. However, I am very well aware of the obnoxious sound that the bullet tip makes, and I know it's not very nice to listen to when you're watching a video. So I am sparing your ears and just using the brush tip. I don't get quite as nice a blend with the brush tip, but you get the idea. So I'm just really trying to move that dark shade out and blend it with the light. Now look at the difference. Now this is the part I just colored. This is the part I colored ahead of time. It's not that I did anything different. It's just that this needs time to dry. Okay? It's going to dry quite a bit darker. All right. That is that. Now I have also ahead of time and heat embossed a sentiment. So this sentiment is from the same stamp set. It's a beautiful size and a lovely font, Merry Christmas. And I've die cut it using the Ornate Layers die. So this is a nice long stitched rectangle. It's not part of the Stitch Rectangles dies, it's part of the Ornate Layers. It's just a little bit extra long. So I'm going to first adhere my poinsettia. Now I want to just think about where this is going to go on my card, because if I put this over too far, I'm going to end up extending on either side, right? So I'm going to sort of lay my Merry Christmas on my card for a minute and then kind of play around with the placement of my poinsettia to make sure that it's going to fit on my card. I don't like it like that. Let's turn it. Let's do it this way. No, I think I like it like that. Just like that. Okay. Oh, no, got a little bit extending there. I should have stamped my Merry Christmas. You know what? We're going to change the design just a titch. We're going to put our Merry Christmas a little bit lower and our poinsettia a little bit higher so this will fit, because otherwise we're going to have a little bit of overhang. Let's see. There we go. That'll work. Okay, that little bit is okay. It'll still fit in the envelope. So we're going to extend that a little bit. And then I also want to just take my little sprigs and kind of think about where I'm going to put them. They're going to go in behind my poinsettia, kind of like that. Okay, sort of framing my sentiment. So kind of once I have an idea of where I want this to go, then I can go ahead and start adhering things. So I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the end of my die cut piece. And we're going to position our poinsettia again. Now I've totally forgotten which way I had it. There we go. Did I have it like that? No. There we go. We'll do it like that. Okay. And then I'm going to add my sprigs. I'm going to use just a couple of glue dots to add to those. Oh, I'm glad I can spare your ears, Heather. Hi, Wendy. How are you? Hi, Joyce. Thank you for sharing. And we're going to add one more. Now thinking again about where this is going to go. So this one's going to kind of come down towards the bottom. Okay, just like that. And then this is going to get popped up. But before we do that, we're going to add some of this gorgeous Poppy Parade ribbon. Now this is from the Trimming the Town suite. It comes in a combo pack with the Poppy Parade and Old Olive. And it has this beautiful gold metallic along the edge. So I just want to think about, again, where this is going to go. And I kind of want my ribbon to just kind of go underneath where my sentiment is going to go. So again, this is going to be a little bit lower than on my sample, but that's okay. So I'm just adhering the ribbon with the glue dot on either end and then just wrapping it around the back side. Okay, just like that. And then I can go ahead and add my sentiment and my poinsettia. So we're gonna add a couple of dimensionals to the back of this. And we'll get rid of our backings. I forgot to give myself a little wastebasket. I'm gonna have a mess by the time I'm done. Dimensional backings everywhere. And then we're gonna go ahead and adhere this. And again, I just wanna see that ribbon sort of peeking out from underneath my sentiment, just like that. Okay, now before we do anything else, we're going to glue this onto our card base. So the card base is Poppy Parade. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we'll fold that in half along our score line and crisp it up with our bone folder. And then a little bit of adhesive. Oh no, my Stampin' Seal is empty. We'll use Seal Plus. Good thing we have a backup. I just ordered a whole bunch of refills for my Stampin' Seal because I was fresh out. So we'll just add that just like that. Okay. And then we are going to add a pretty double bow. Now this ribbon is 1/8 of an inch wide and it is perfect for tying double bows. So to make your double bow, you're going to take your ribbon, you're going to fold it over on itself. I've got probably, I don't know, 8 inches folded over on itself. So you're going to need about 16 inches of ribbon, okay, in total. So the thing when you're doing this is you want to make sure your ribbon is layered and not twisted, okay? So I'm going to make my loop, keeping my ribbon nice and flat. This is a double layer of ribbon. And then same thing with my other loop. So this is really the same as my regular bow. I'm just working with 2 thicknesses of ribbon. Okay, so then I'm going to take my left loop, cross it over the right, bring it around and through. Okay, and that gives me my double bow. Now, you're only going to notice that it's a double bow if you separate your loop. So you've got to kind of pull these apart a little bit. Okay, and then you also want to make one loop a little bit smaller than the other. I usually like to make my bottom loop a little bit smaller. Doesn't really matter, whichever one makes you happy. So again, we're going to pull this loop apart so you can tell that we have 2 there. And then you just kind of pull at your tails, making one a little bit smaller than the other. Let's see which one decides to work here. Yeah, let's pull that one. There we go. And then we have a pretty, pretty double bow. Let's just get those a little bit more even. There we go. Isn't that pretty? So with a double bow, you have to tease it out a little bit more, but you do get a really pretty effect. And then when you're trimming your tails, again, you want one to be a little bit shorter and one to be a little bit longer. Now that one's not going to cooperate, so we're going to just move that there. There we go. And there's our pretty double bow. That's not so hard, eh? All right, so we're going to press the knot into a glue dot. And we're going to tuck that in right under our poinsettia there so that it is kind of part of our little arrangement. Okay. And then to add a little bling, because every Christmas card should have some bling, we're going to add a couple of these faceted gems. So again, when you're adding these kinds of embellishments, you're always trying to make a triangle. Okay. That is visually more pleasing for your eye. And then we're going to just add a little bit more sparkle because we can, and Wink of Stella is our friend. So we're going to take our Wink of Stella, and what I tend to do with this particular image is I kind of follow the veins with my Wink of Stella. So it's just a little hint of shimmer. It's not the whole flower that I'm covering. I don't want it to be like a big sparkly flower. I just want a little hint of shimmer that catches the light. And we'll move our bow so we can add those little guys there. There we are. Now this is not going to show well on the camera, but trust me, it's very pretty and very sparkly. All right, so there you go. Even with it a little bit lower, it still totally works. Okay, now on the inside of my sample, I did a little bit, I was kind of on a coloring kick this weekend. So I added another Whisper White layer and stamped the image again, and this time masked it with just a Post-it note and added my sprigs in behind so that they looked like they were behind the stamped poinsettia. Okay, so there we go. All right. Oh, Deb, you made it. Glad you could join us. we'll set that guy aside. And we're going to move on to number 2. Now, where did I put number 2? There it is. Now, this one is, you wouldn't know that this is from the Poinsettia Suite, but it totally is. And I wanted to show that there's more to the stamp set than just the poinsettia image. There are some great kind of rustic patterns in the DSP that work really well for a kind of rustic themed card. So let's put this one together. This is super quick. I started with a 4x6" piece of designer series paper. Now, that was by design because I'm using a technique called rip and flip. So this DSP, I'm using both sides of the DSP, and I like to use this technique whenever I have DSP that I really like both patterns, okay? So I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna cut, just rip off relatively straight. You kind of want to tear this as straight as you can get it, as straight as a tear can be. About an inch, inch and a quarter, okay? And then what we're gonna do is just flip that over and layer it like that. And you can decide if you want more or less. If you want more of the berries, you put the berries on top. If you want more of the wood, you put the wood on top, okay? Now we're gonna glue this. So I'm gonna put this on, I'm not sure if this is gonna show. I'm gonna move my grid paper up here for a minute. And my card, or this piece needs to end up 5 1/4 inches. So I've got the edge of my berry paper, my berry pattern at 5. And I'm gonna layer this on top so that the edge of my wood grain is at 10 1/4. Okay, I would normally be doing this at 0, but that bottom corner is kind of hard to see on the camera. So I'm hoping that you guys can see. Let me just see if I can move this up a little bit more. My camera base is kind of keeping me from moving it up very high, but hopefully you can see that. So I've got the edge at 5, the left edge at 5, and then the right edge at 10 1/4. And that gives me, once I glue it, a 5 1/4 inch long piece for my background. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of liquid glue just along that torn edge. And I'm using the liquid glue again so that I can wiggle this and get it nice and straight. So I'm going, whoops, I almost glued the wrong side. That would have been tragic. All right, let's flip that over. And I'm gonna put the right edge of my wood grain at the 10 1/4 inch mark. And I'm using my grid paper to help me make sure this is nice and straight. I'm gonna match up my top and bottom edges. And there we go. Okay, now again, if I had wanted to see more of the berries, I could put the berries on top, but we're gonna go with that, okay? All right, let's set that aside for a minute. And I'm going to bring in my die cut label. So this is cut using the Stitch Nested Labels dies. It's cut from Very Vanilla cardstock. And we are gonna stamp our sentiment in soft suede ink. So I'm just gonna ink up my sentiment. I'm gonna stamp it a little bit more to the right because I'm gonna do a little bit of arranging and stamping on the left side. Okay, so we're just gonna stamp that there. And then we're gonna come in with some Garden Green ink and this little pine bough stamp. And this is just to add a little extra fullness to our arrangement. So I'm just gonna stamp a couple of times along the edge of the label with this pine bough. I'm gonna add one more in the middle here, just like that, okay? And again, that's just going to add a little bit more to our arrangement once we get that all put together. All right, now before we glue this on, we're going to add a little bit of trim. Now this is the braided linen trim. You crack me up. You guys make me laugh. Okay, so this is the braided linen trim. We have the natural in the annual catalog, and then in the holiday we have this red, which is really, really fun for rustic looking cards. So I'm going to just press the end into a glue dot. And look how pretty the backside is. You could totally use the backside too. Isn't that nice? Look at that. All right, so sorry, I get distracted. I'm going to just add my glue dot, trim off the roll, and I'm gonna do this at a bit of an angle because I'm actually gonna crisscross my pieces here. So I'm gonna put one on this way, and then I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna crisscross them. So I'm gonna put this one here, and crisscross it like that. And again, you just want to make sure you're not pulling your ribbon so tight that you're buckling your paper when you're doing this. There we go. Okay, and I kind of love these sort of stray threads in this. It just adds a little bit to the rustic feel of it. Okay, so before we do any arranging on the front of our card, we're going to glue this onto our card base. So my card base is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. I scored it in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll fold that in half along our score line. And then we're going to glue this down onto the front of our card. And again, I'm going to use some seal. You could use liquid glue if that makes you happy. I'm a big fan of the seal and the Seal Plus. So we're going to pop that onto there. And when you do this, you should have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Okay. All right. Now we are ready to do a little bit of decorating. So we're going to add our label first. We're going to pop that up with a couple of dimensionals. So let's just do 4. I'm being conservative today, Louise. All right. Ears growled. Oh my goodness, you guys. Don't traumatize your dogs because I'm screwing up in my videos. All right, let's pop that on. Okay. And then I have some die cuts. So this is cut using the, oh, I just dropped my take your pick. It's now under my desk. That's okay. I will get it later. So this is just cut from the Beautiful Boughs dies from Garden Green cardstock. And I'm going to just add them sort of on an angle at just so the little branches kind of come to a point at the point on my label. And again, the easiest way to glue these is with a glue dot or 2. You could certainly use liquid glue if you like, but in the interest of speed and tidiness, we're going to go with glue dots. This one I need to roll just a touch so that we don't have it peeking out. There we go. We'll pop that guy on there. Oh, that one's over too far because we're covering up the bee in our bloom. There we go. Okay, and then if I had my take your pick, I would tuck one glue dot under the point where the branches meet, but my take your pick's under the desk right now. There we go. Gotta love live video. All right. So then I have a couple of sprigs that I have die cut from the DSP. So the cool thing about the Poinsettia Place DSP is that there are many patterns that have images that coordinate with the die. So you can cut them out with the die. So you don't even have to stamp. The only thing that's stamped on this card is the sentiment. Okay, so we're going to add those. And I'm actually going to add them with a couple of mini dimensionals. I just want them to pop up a little bit. So I'm going to put a mini dimensional on here. Oops. We'll put, oh, there's half a mini. I'll put one there. And we'll pop this on right about there. Okay. And then same thing with this one. One there. You gotta love mini dimensionals. They're so easy to hide. Oops. Get rid of that backing. Come here, you. It was the wrong side of it was the backing from another dimensional that is now stuck to, it's the non-peely side of the backing that is now stuck to the mini. So I'm going to get rid of this mini dimensional because I can't get the backing off of it. And we're going to try again because my fingers, there's the one that that backing was from. We'll add that one. There we go. All right. Oh my goodness, these things are not cooperating today. So we're going to add this. I feel like I'm all thumbs. Oh, covered up my bee again. Not good. Let's move that so that we're not covering our bee. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to add a couple of these little sprig where the part of it broke off. That's all right. It'll add to the rustic look. We're going to add a couple of glue dots behind these guys. And now, again, you're going to want to roll your glue dots a little bit just so that they don't show behind your sprig. And these glue really easily. They're quite light. So 2 glue dots is more than enough. You could, oh my goodness, the whole front came off of this one. I think I got a defective pack of sprigs. Let's see if we can glue that baby back on. We're going to do a little surgery here. We're going to add just a titch of liquid glue here. And we're going to pop this right on top and hope and it stays put. Looks like this part's coming off too. Yep. I'm going to tuck a little bit of glue in there too. Okay, this is how you fix your defective sprigs. Or if you don't want to be bothered, you call me and I replace them for you. Because Stampin' Up is great and they will do that. All right, there we go. If this were not a live video, I would be calling Stampin' Up right now. But it is a live video, so I'll call it when I'm done. All right, there we go. So we're going to add, again, a couple of glue dots. And, oh, Debbie, thanks for joining. Oh, that guy came off. Hang on. We're having technical difficulties with our sprigs. Come on, stick. I don't think I put enough glue on there. Okay. Is that going to stay? It might not. I might have to add some more glue. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to add just a quick little bow with our braided trim. So I'm going to make my 2 bunny ears and cross them over and make a really quick and easy bow. And for this one, I'm going to leave my loops pretty large. I just like that look. Again, it adds to a bit of a rustic look. So we'll trim off our tails here. Get that out of the way. Let's clean up a little bit. And then we're going to add a glue dot and adhere it right there. Okay. And that's our finished card. Isn't that simple? So simple. Thanks to the die cut images. And on the inside of this one, I just added an extra little bit of wood grain, DSP, just to kind of carry through that sort of rustic feel on the inside. Okay, so that's that one done. All right. Those are not gold foil sprigs, Debbie. They are the, what are they? They're from the textural elements, the wood elements. It's the suite that has all the wood grain and sort of stone look DSP. It's that same suite. Touches of Texture, In Good Taste, that one. In Good Taste, that's what these are called, In Good Taste elements. I knew it would come to me if I stalled long enough. My computer isn't running as quickly these days. And by computer, I mean my brain. All right, let's move on. Last one. This one I love. I am a big fan. I love traditional colors for Christmas, but I also love switching it up a little bit and doing something a little bit unexpected. And this, I mean, it's still kind of traditional. We still have a red and a greenish, but it's certainly not your, true red and green. So let's have a look at how I did this. Now, this uses those gorgeous dies that cut the Poinsettia Petals. And remember how I said there was a die that adds the veining on the leaves, okay? And they nest, so you just put them through together. Now, I'll show you with what I do with my dies. Let me just grab my sheet of dies here for a sec. Because I cut a lot of these, I have just used a piece of washi tape to stick them so that they stay together, so that when I slap them down, I don't have to fuss with getting this die centered in this one. Okay, so I just throw them on and away I go. Really, really quick and easy. So I've done that with all of the petal dies, and I've also done it with the holly dies as well. And it just makes it really super quick when you're doing mass production, or class prep in my case. So I've cut out one of each size of the poinsettia leaves, and then one of each size of the holly leaves. And then I've also cut a brushed copper foil of the largest poinsettia. I actually like to make my leaves from that die, because if you look at poinsettia leaves, they really are the same shape as the petals, right? So I like to use the same die to create my petals. The holly leaves I just added for an extra little bit of an accent, but when I'm making the leaves for my poinsettias, I really like to use that. Anyway, so we are going to first add a little bit of shading to our die cuts with a sponge dauber and using the same shade of ink. So these poinsettias are cut from Mary Merlot cardstock. So I'm going to use ink of the same shade, and I'm just going to brush with the dauber all of the petals. And you can be as heavy or light-handed as you like. Because we're going tone on tone, it's not super, super obvious. It just adds a bit of shading and depth. anytime you are doing, especially when you're doing paper flowers like this, adding depth to the petals just makes your paper flowers pop a little bit. Okay, so you can see the difference, right? I hope that shows that you can see this shading there. Okay, so then we're gonna get our next guy here. Thanks, Deb. Glad you like it. Hi, Alfie. How are you? We'll add a little bit of shading here. I'm getting ink all over my fingers, but that's what makes it fun, right? Inky fingers. I have got these baby wipes. I gotta tell you, the baby wipes I got at Zehrs are amazing. They take ink off my fingers. I was so impressed. I don't know what's in them, but they work great. All right, let's almost done here. There we go. Okay, so we've got our shaded petals. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the holly leaves, but we're gonna bring in the Pretty Peacock ink. So these are cut from Pretty Peacock cardstock. So again, I'm using the Pretty Peacock ink. Oh, except I'm using the wrong dauber. Oh my goodness. Actually, I kind of like the Mary Merlot on there. Maybe we'll do that. You know what? We're gonna sponge with Mary Merlot because, well, I just did. So we're gonna get rid of the peacock that was on there and bring back the Merlot because I kind of like that look. I like the red on the blue. Yeah. Happy accident, guys. Happy accident. Sometimes they happen. All right. There we go. All sponged up. And now we're ready to construct our poinsettia. So, you'll recall, I mentioned that I added the veining. So there are a few ways you can add dimension to your poinsettia. One is to burnish with your bone folder. I'm not going to do that this time. I'm actually going to take and just sort of curl or fold my leaves along, or my petals rather, along the veins. Okay. Post a pic. Yeah, I will. Deb, they're President's Choice. From Zehrs, which for you guys, I don't know. Do you guys have Loblaws Independent out in Calgary? I'm not sure, but I will post a pic. Yeah, they're pretty great. If they weren't on the other side of the room right now, I would show you now. Because my fingers could use a wipe, goodness knows, but that's okay. You can look at my inky fingers. It's not like you haven't seen inky fingers before, right? All right, so there are my petals. I kind of bent them a little bit, folded them upwards. And then to assemble our poinsettia, we're just going to add just a little dab of glue. And I like to work with from my bottom one first. I'm going to put a dab of glue on the medium-sized one. And you want to offset your petals, okay? I like using the liquid glue just because it gives me that wiggle time to make sure my petals are offset and centered. And then again, I'm going to add a little dab to this guy, same thing. Okay, and you just kind of have to hold it in the center for a second for that glue to set. There we go. Okay, and then I have my brushed foil. So this is the copper. So all I do is I cut my flower apart. Again, I'm going to bend my leaves a little bit. And this time, I'm making leaves, right? I'm not making a flower, so I'm going to add just a couple of leaves, not petals, leaves here and there. So I'm just going to bend to give them shape. And look, we have leaves. Okay, so that's a great little tip for how to make your poinsettia leaves look a little bit more realistic. Because let's be honest, poinsettia leaves do not look like holly leaves. Holly and poinsettia are very different things. So we're just going to add a couple more. I think I'm only going to use 4. I'm not going to use 5 leaves, I don't think, because I do need to have room for my holly leaves. So we'll add those guys just like that. Okay, and then you get that more realistic poinsettia look. So then I'm going to bring in my holly leaves, and we will add, okay, you have Superstore. All right. You should be able to get them at Superstore then, Deb. I will, I'll show you, I'll post a picture later. Okay, so let's just add these guys. So again, I'm just using glue dots, and this is like flower arranging 101, right? You're just gonna kind of add your leaves until you have something that you're happy with. And then I have a couple of the little sprigs. These are also from the same die set, also cut from the brushed copper foil. And I'm adding a glue dot. We're gonna add a little sprig down here. And we're gonna add another little sprig up here, kind of like that. Okay, and then that's ready to go on to, oh, I forgot my center. There's my flower center. I'm gonna put that on with just a glue dot. And again, had I might take your pick, if it were not on the floor under my desk, I would position it with that, but I'm just gonna use my scissors for now. There we go. All right, whoops, turned off my light. Comedy of errors today, you guys, comedy of errors. All right, let's set that aside and we're gonna do some work creating our background. So my backdrop is a piece of very vanilla cardstock. It is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and I've embossed it using the Dainty Diamonds embossing folder. And then I have 2 pieces of the Brightly Gleaming DSP. Now this DSP was actually in last year's holiday catalog and has come back for an encore performance. And I'm so glad it did because it's so, so pretty. So this has Pretty Peacock and copper foil. Okay, the other side is equally lovely, but we're going to go with the copper. And I'm going to glue these on the long side of my embossed cardstock. So I need my glue. Add a little bit there, and you're gonna find when you go to glue this on, if you glue the long edge down along your long edge of your cardstock, you're gonna find that you have about 1/4 inch on either end. Okay, so these are cut using the stitch triangle dies. Okay, you could totally cut them just with the trimmer and you wouldn't get the stitching detail, but the stitch triangle dies just add that extra little bit of detail. This one is we're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm flipping it and I'm going to do the exact same thing. You're going to see the points overlap, but it doesn't matter because our poinsettia is going to hide that. So again, I just put this on, put one point at the 1/4 inch mark and the other point at the other 1/4 inch mark. And there we go, perfectly centered. Okay, all right, that is going to get glued onto our card base. We have Mary Merlot cardstock. It's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4 inches. You're right, Debbie, that would make a very pretty Christmas corsage. You could make your own corsage to match the colors that you're wearing. How pretty would that be? Too bad we probably won't be having very many Christmas parties this year. No thanks to COVID, of course. So we are going to go ahead and layer that piece on the front of our card. So we'll just add a little bit of glue. Oops, yeah, the seal does not like embossed cardstock. Sorry, the Seal Plus. Seal's usually okay. The Seal Plus sometimes causes it to tear, but that's okay. You just have to catch it. So we're going to add that to the front of our card, just like that. Okay. And then we are ready to put this on. Now, before I do, I'm going to add just a little bit of this beautiful copper ribbon. So this is from the Gilded Autumn Suite. And it is a real copper, real metallic copper. And I only need like 2, probably 3-inch loops. You do not need a lot of ribbon for this. So all I'm going to do is just press both ends of my ribbon into a glue dot, and then I'm going to grab my little poinsettia arrangement here. I'm going to press it in, and then I'm going to twist it into a loop, but I want to make sure my loop is going to stay flat. I don't want it to twist. Okay, so we're just going to have that peeking out from behind. And again, I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. So glue dot on either end, and then we'll add 1 and 2, and then you just get that pretty little loop of ribbon. Okay, now this is ready to go on to the front of our card. Actually, let's do it. Oh, you know what? I don't like where the ribbon went. We're going to put this over further. I wasn't thinking about where it was going on my card. We're going to move this over so it goes kind of here instead. There we go. That's better. I like that better. All right, so now this is going to go on with some dimensionals. Where'd my dimensionals go? There they are. So we're going to add, I don't know, probably 3, maybe 4. 3 is good. And pop that on right in the center where our points meet, just like that. Okay, and then we have just a 1/2 inch wide by maybe 4-inch strip of very vanilla cardstock. This is actually scrap that's left over when you cut your 4 by 5 1/4 inch pieces. And I have here a sentiment stamp that says warm wishes from our home to yours. Now I only wanted warm wishes for the front of my card, and this is one of those stamps that's a little bit too hard to cut. Normally, you know me, that I would do a little surgery and cut my stamp up. But what I'm going to do instead is use my Stampin' Write marker in Pretty Peacock, and I am going to ink just the warm wishes portion of the stamp. I just want to be careful because the bottom line of text is very close to the top, which is why this is next to impossible to cut up. So I just want to make sure that I'm only inking the part that says warm wishes. And the best way to do that is to use the brush tip of your Stampin' Write marker. Now, just to be clear, these are Stampin' Write markers, not Stampin' Blends, okay? These are the water-based markers. Stampin' Blends will not, you can't stamp with them. Okay, you will end up with nothing happening. You'll just stain your stamp, actually. So we are going to do our best to stamp this straight and centered, hopefully. Not bad. And then we're going to bring in our, what is this? Tasteful Label? I think it's called Tasteful Label. You would think I would know this by now. I use this a million times. My brain is just not functioning today. I can't remember the names of things. And we're going to just nip out a little banner end there. And then we're going to trim the excess off. And then this is going to tuck in here. Now, you'll notice, I'm not sure if you can tell, but I have a nice little bend. It kind of looks like a little banner there. So to do that, I'm going to burnish with my bone folder one way. And then I'm going to flip it and burnish the end the other way. And you see how I get that really gentle S curve there? So then I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals. We're going to go one here and one here. And we'll get rid of our backings. And then this is going to tuck in. Let's see, where are we going to put this? Will we put this under here? I think we will. It's going to go right there. And when you glue this on, you just want to make sure that you get that nice little bend in your banner like that. Okay, now the last touch on this is to add the center to our poinsettia. Now, we added this, but you'll see what really makes this a wow is those beautiful iridescent pearls. Now, these pearls are from the Halloween suite, would you believe? Okay, you know what? I need my backup take your pick. Hang on, because I can't do this with just my scissors. There we go. Good thing my backup take your pick was close at hand. I'll get the one from under the desk later. All right, so I am going to just pick up my take your pick, and this die cut center conveniently already has the positioning down. So I'm basically just putting a pearl over top of each one of the little embossed divots here on the center of my poinsettia. And look at how the color of these pearls totally works with the colors on this card. Like, it's got Mary Merlot and Pretty Peacock in the iridescence. It's just so pretty. I love these. There we go. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love it when things work out like that. So, so pretty. Now, on the inside of this one, kept it super simple. I just added a simple Merry Christmas. You could certainly add some more of the DSP. You could stamp a poinsettia and color it if you'd like. But that, I just kept it super simple because the front was a little bit more involved. Okay. All right. So those, let me just bring these back. So that's let me bring the one that doesn't have the missing little bit on our wood sprig there. Oh, come here. There we go. So there are the 3 cards we made today, okay? Now, I need to tell you and show you a little sneaky peek of my latest online class. So I mentioned I was having too much fun playing with this suite, and I kind of kept just making cards. And once I was done, I had a whole bunch of awesome projects for an online class. So let's get these out of the way, and I will show you what is included in my newest online class. Now, you get 6 cards, okay? There's 6 designs. Also, so you get all the make and take kits prepped and ready to go. as well as a PDF that has all of the supplies and measurements for each project, as well as a photo. And you also get a link to a step-by-step video for how to put them together. Okay, so all of my online classes include all of that, and they are free with a $60 order. Okay, so let me show you what you're getting. So we'll start simple. Okay, this is just a simple card using some DSP that I've colored using Stampin' Blends. Okay, so that's card 1. Here's card 2. Lots and lots of shimmer and shine on that one. Here is card 3. A little bit of a non-traditional take. Here is card 4, using some of those that gorgeous fuzzy vellum, as I like to call it. And then we have 2 fun fold cards. So this one is a real wow. The poinsettia on this one is Stampin' Die Cut on the velour red velvet sheets. This one opens like that. So it's kind of a fun, different take on the fold. And then this one is an easel card. So it lays flat for mailing, but then you open it up and stand it up, and you have that beautiful pop-up look that somebody could display on their mantle. So how pretty would that be to get for Christmas? So those are the 6 projects included in this class. As I said, the class is free with a $60 order placed through my website using this, make sure you can see it, host code. Okay, and the host code, you enter that at checkout. Okay, so there is a spot. The website looks a little different. It's been redesigned. The new website came out in August. So if you haven't ordered online since August, you will have a slightly different experience. But there is a spot to enter this host code. You can place your $60 minimum order using that code, and you'll get this class for free in the mail. The deadline to order is the day after Thanksgiving. Okay, so I think that's Tuesday, October 13th is the cutoff. And I will remind you next week, and I'll remind you on the last day to make sure you don't forget to place your order using this host code. The only way I will know that you want this class is if you order using this host code. Okay, now if you would prefer to pick your order up for me, you can send your order to me and I can order for you and use this host code. But if you would prefer it, and it's easier, you can just pay online and order through my website using that code. All right, so you'll get all 6 cards and the PDF and the step-by-step video. Okay, all right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed these projects. Thank you for bearing with me through all my little oopses and blunders tonight. And I got to tell you, this COVID teaching experience is messing with my brain. It is a challenge. But anywho, thank you so much for sticking with me, and I will see you again next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.